Fix it.
Hold on. Fix. Your connection is unstable.
Let's see.
It wasn't having any issues, so I tried to switch it to the thing that's supposed to make it better. Oh, well, let's try this again.
Is it working?
Is it working? I think it's working. It says that we're connected. The picture's a lot better, but that's because we switched laptops. So we're going to try, we actually have 2 different Wi-Fis and a booster in our house. So yeah, I think we got it. I think we got it fixed. So hopefully.
It looks a lot better.
It looks a lot better. So, okay. Somebody asked, I caught a question. If you have a question, put them in all caps. Well, I'm glad that you're here, Sam. Hopefully it starts.
Or did it say it isn't going well?
Yeah, my first live. Hopefully, we're usually pretty persistent. If it starts to have issues, we usually try to get them worked out. Hey, Liz, how are you? By their farm. Awesome. I hope everything's going well there. So we're downstairs. We did get a Wi-Fi booster down here.
It's supposed to help.
It's supposed to help, but we don't have anywhere in our living room to currently sit or our kitchen area where we normally do our lives. Oh, we look like a pixelated 80s arcade game. We're getting a lot of comments that it's really blurry. What's it look like on your end?
Let me see.
It's fairly blurry. Thank you, Emily. Yeah. What do you want to do? I mean, we could try to set up a spot upstairs and we could just go do the live in the half-finished kitchen.
Right, but I don't think that would necessarily fix it.
Cassie Hansen, do you think it's too late to start a garden in Texas? You could sow just about anything. The thing you're going to run into is it being really... Okay. The thing you're going to run into is it being really hot. And so you might wait and then sow a lot of things in like August to grow through the fall, depending on what part of Texas you're in. The internet outside is actually worse than it is in the house. So he's going to go upstairs and see if he can set a place up for us in the kitchen area where we can maybe sit up there. So we'll try to get it worked out so we can have a really good picture for you guys. But hopefully we can get it worked out. This is the one thing about country living. I love living out in the country, but internet is such a challenge, and our internet is just the absolute worst. We actually pay for 2 different internet accounts. We have one that we do all our YouTube stuff on, and then we have one that we do our family stuff on, because what would happen is we would go live on Sunday night, and literally if somebody picked their phone up that was connected to their internet and like looked at a message, it would buffer the live. Like you couldn't do anything. Hey, North Star Prepstetter. So is it too late to plant tomato seeds? Ariana, that's going to really depend on where you are. Gina in a bottle, thank you so much for that, for your kind words and for that super chat. Oh my gosh, I would love fiber optic. And our issue is that like to get a dedicated line out here, it would be so expensive because there's not anything out here. And I just don't, like we're just not where we can justify doing that. So we just deal with it. It's one of those things. So I think somebody asked why I call him Miah. His name is Jeremiah. So Miah, Jeremiah, it's just a nickname.
All right, you want to move upstairs?
All right, guys.
Let's try this thing.
Let's do this. Y'all ready to go upstairs? Can you grab the charger? And I'll grab our friends, all 609 of you. I'm going to just carry you.
We're back up to that after having to start over.
We have not tried satellite internet. So
no, we haven't.
Let's walk. Hey, y'all are about to see my stairwell. You don't usually see this. Don't judge my messes if you see any. Oh, everyone. Like, I don't have shoes on, Miah. I'm breaking the rule. Like, the kids keep getting in trouble for not having shoes. Oh, hey, there's Benton.
Hey, y'all.
He's here late today. There's Jackie. Oh.
No.
Okay. So, do I need to come off the basement one?
Sure.
Okay, let's try this. We're going to go. So, we disconnected for a second, but I think we're back. Is it back? It says we're unstable. Okay, I think we're back.
Okay, go.
Are we back? Can you see us, guys? I don't see any chat. I don't want it to buffer while we're walking through the kitchen. I guess they'll see it anyway. Oh, I don't have shoes on. This is so yucky.
There. Let's see.
It's not. I don't think it's working.
Yes, it is. I can do it.
Oh, Miah, this is a really low chair. Okay.
It's what I got.
Why do I look blue? Come on, you can do it. I'm not blue. Okay. I see no chat whatsoever. Is there chat? Oh, there's chat. Well, I'm going to need to see what you guys are saying to talk to you. Let's see. Okay. Participants. Oh. There it is. Nope. Still no chat. I thought there was. I thought I pulled it up on my phone. Well, I have no idea what you're saying, but I bet you're commenting on this thing. Hey, go outside. Listen to Daddy.
Come on.
Sorry, my dog. He loves me.
Go.
He loves me excessively. I really can't see anything, so let me get you guys on my cellular device. Okay.
The chat stopped working.
Yeah. But if we can get it over here, I actually don't have the YouTube app. Is that silly?
It is kind of silly. I've got it.
Oh, there were some super chats that I did not catch. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about.
Guess
Okay.
I'll just scroll back.
Jamie, I think I said that, but thank you, Jamie. And Ben and Ola, thank you so much.
Benjamin, go on, baby.
Hey, baby.
Love you.
And Ashley, I've been helping my neighbor learn to garden. It's such a good feeling just having one small family helping thousands must feel great. It does feel great. Thank you so much for that. I really need this to work.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's see. You could. Would refreshing the browser mess up the live?
Guys, what is wrong with us? Why can't we do these things? This is our job. This is awkward. Oh, golly. My shirt is in motion. Yeah, you're fine, baby.
Oh, yeah, look.
Oh, that's
It's like,
weird. It's because it's striped.
There's no way around it.
Oh, golly. This is just a mess.
This is a mess.
Why is it such a mess? It's just like everything else in our life right now. This live, it is.
It's happening. I'll tell you what.
I'm actually gonna go change my shirt.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Bless her. Bless her, Lord. Okay. We just can't get the chat to work on the laptop. And I don't know how to get it to come back. Maybe if I chat, it'll start. Nope, it doesn't work. Well, refreshing it, I wonder if refreshing it will ruin the live. This is risky. Pop out chat. How do you do that? Pop out chat. Pop out chat. No. Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah. We're rocking and rolling now. Single Dad Homestead to the rescue.
Did Chris tell you how to fix it?
Yeah. It's called pop out chat. That's a thing.
Oh, okay.
So we're popped out.
Oh.
We're putting our photos out on the line.
I don't know why. Okay. Well,
All right, it's done. We got it. Thanks.
Is this shirt weird too? Is it weird?
Look at you moving.
I was trying to see. That was my shirt.
Well,
weird
the
days?
pop-out chat, like, I guess we can make it skinnier. Hold on.
It's fine. I don't need to see
It's
myself.
fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, thank you, Deborah Flecker.
Oh, yeah, that works.
Did I get? Okay.
We'll just drag this over.
Okay.
Hey, there you go.
Right now we're using our.
Yeah, we're professional YouTubers. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
this is what we do. We got this.
Psh,
Thanks,
Chris.
Chris.
Chris from Single Guy's a professional YouTuber. I don't know what the heck I'm
It's
doing.
probably the lighting, which is fantastic because this is the new lighting. So if it's a problem, we'll just have to address.
It's the window that's causing the problem.
I don't know. We don't know what we're
This
doing.
is it, guys. If you stay, thank you. If it's too much of a
Yeah, this is
issue,
it.
this
This
is what
the
you
best
get.
we can do. We just
is all
spent
we
the
got.
15 minutes trying to figure out how to do that. Thank you, Mary. Can we chat about tomatoes? I would love to chat about tomatoes. I have some pretty large green tomatoes going out
Just
in
wake
the
me up when you're
garden.
done.
Tips for growing artichokes. I actually am growing my first artichoke plant. Almost killed it a few times, but they need about 4 foot square. From what I understand, they need a pretty good space to get really big. Yeah, if you've got questions, put them in caps. What kind of wine do you pair with gardening? I'm actually more of a coffee person. I pair a lot of coffee with
But
gardening.
as far as I understand it, any wine.
That's
All
what-
wine goes good with gardening.
That's what the wine drinkers tell me. They're pretty non-discriminatory. Do you have any fig trees? I have some small ones, and I cannot tell you off the top of my head what kind they are. I'm so sorry, Growaway Farms. Cristobal ruined your pink ox heart. That's so sad.
See, they can kind of catch a glimpse of the new ceiling.
Yep.
Just a glimpse.
Angela Blake. Well, thank you. I
Best
appreciate
live
that.
ever. Yeah, because they're all laughing at us. They're all gonna laugh at you. She doesn't know what that's referencing to, but
Gwendolyn Stanfield, you got me out of my house and planting
somebody will say it.
foot shirt surgery and inspired my neighbors to join my veggie garden instead of reporting me to the HOA like in years past. I'm so glad to hear that. That is definitely better. Hey, Scott Burton, how are you? Sarah Adams, cucumbers won't grow. They're so tiny. Make sure they're getting enough water. Hey, Mark. And water, and I mean, as long as your soil's not too compact, and then maybe some fertilizer. Those are my go-tos if I've got something that's acting stunted.
For sure. Yes, Nicholas Lynch. It was Adam Sandler when he first came out with the Turkey song on that album of comedy relief. There was a point where his mom was like, "Don't do that, they're all gonna laugh at you." That was exactly what that's from.
Oh, Megan, I'm so sorry about your pepper. We don't have fruit trees. We have a couple of young fig trees, and we have a big pear tree that was here next door. That's the only fruit trees we have. We planted some, our goat killed them, and we just haven't found a great place to put them in.
Oh, the Stivers are here.
Hey, Stivers. Kat Macy, favorite brand of coffee. My favorite brand of coffee is actually by a place that roasts locally called Blue Sail. I go and get coffee there. But for the most part, we buy these 2-pound bags. Sam's Club carries like a fair trade, organic, whole bean coffee, and we just buy that. That's what we use the most.
The Great White Kitchen. It'll have color eventually.
Yeah, it's gonna have color. Right now,
it's
it's
kind of washing us out. But if we lean back, see those new cabinets.
Yeah, if we do our laugh, like.
Hey guys, welcome to the live.
I can't do it.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
I just can't do it. Elaine, thank you so much. It is the kitchen that's making us look all weird. But
Well, I can't do anything about it.
it's the casual live. That's right. It's cash. Let's just
Just a
come
little
in.
cash live.
I think we're delirious. I think that's what's happening right now. In case you really need to know, those of you who are like, you're having way too much fun, and all the commenters afterwards who are like, you're high. No, we're not. We're high on the love of the Lord, and we have not slept much lately because we're remodeling our house.
I do have a lot of pop culture from like the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s.
It's just packed in there.
I know nothing
right
after like 2010. I stopped being a youth pastor, and anything that's happened since then, I just don't care. What was it 2013?
We are teaching people the love of gardening. That is so my passion. We haven't been painting anything, so I can't blame it on the paint fumes, but no, we're really excited. We had Daniel here this weekend. I think we stayed up talking until like
one night. It was way past.
It was
when
last
we needed
night.
to go to bed.
It was last night. It was like 1:45 in the morning, which is too late. And then this morning, my alarm goes off at like 6, and I was just like, ha ha ha, that's so funny. And then at 6:30, I woke up anyway because I'm just completely incapable of sleeping in late. So I was just like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna be up at 6:30. I'm just a few hours of sleep.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah.
What would cause a raspberry bush to just start dying off from the roots up? Because we had a one that was like it shot off and did really well. It was the first one that bare fruit, and then out of nowhere, a few days ago, all the leaves started wilting. It wasn't water, and then like the roots, like the stems, like the outside, the far away stems are all green, but from the roots up, it's like turning brown.
Fluffy
weird.
Bloomers, thank you so much for that super chat. 3 months here, and you're going back to work. Well, we'll miss you being here. Hopefully, you'll be able to catch them, or maybe catch the replays.
I guess it could have been too much water because it's in the perennial gardening.
Yeah, and it's rooted down in that clay soil. That soil is just going to take a little while. I bet the roots got waterlogged with all of that rain that we got. We got like 6 inches in a day, and it was something
it's
like
not moles. We don't
20
have moles.
inches in a matter of we do have moles, but I have not noticed any damage from them in that garden.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, their moles exist. I'm saying we don't really have moles that come through the garden right now. I think maybe waterlogged because it is planted into that clay a little bit.
How did your family react to you starting an online presence? That's a really good question, Samantha.
A bunch of them thought that it didn't make any, like, they just were like, okay.
Yeah, they were like, why would you do that?
What does that even mean? And then we actually started getting some traction. They were like, oh.
Yeah. My dad has always been super supportive about it. Like, I remember whenever I had an Instagram, this is like my first online presence was Instagram. And I would just share. And I remember realizing that people I didn't know were following me because they liked pictures of chickens. It was totally bizarre to me. I didn't really realize that was a thing. And my dad was like, you have 1,000 people that are following you on Instagram. I'm like, Dad, it's really not that many, like
it's like 1,000 people is a lot of people.
He's like, that's about 990 more than I'd have following me. I was like, thanks, Dad. He's always been super supportive. Claire, any advice as to why my tomatoes aren't producing blooms? They're like 4 feet tall, very healthy. They just keep getting taller and bushier. I would like to see if anybody else has any response to that. My thought is, because I have some that are 4 feet tall that don't have blooms on them as well, but I have some that already have fruit on them. So it could potentially be the variety. The other thing I would think is maybe too much nitrogen, because that will create a lot of leaves. Hold on, I'm going to read Mark's comment, but I want to finish this. The other day, the other day I noticed that I had some different ones that were doing better than others. And I've noticed in the back that they produced a whole lot of leaves before they started setting blooms. And I think that there's just a lot of nitrogen back there. And I'm pretty sure that the response for too much nitrogen is to bring in some... I think it's potassium. Is that what you're supposed to do? Somebody said take some foliage off. I heard potassium gets tomatoes fruiting. Okay, so that's right. Pinch them back and they'll set blooms. So there's some good advice on that. Hey, your needs are why. How are you? I haven't seen you around lately. It's good to see you commenting. Okay, Mark, the other day I accidentally narked on my neighbor's chicken flock when I called the city to find out what I needed to do to start one. Oops, that's me trying to follow the rules. Oh, no. I know you would never do that on purpose, but that is so bad. Thank you for that super chat. I used to work at the city. That was like that was my first job that I had for a long time, was doing filing. My dad's actually a city inspector. Oh, goodness gracious. And so I used to go and do filing, and then I would answer the phone. And for years, I mean, I actually went back. They called me fairly recently.
It's been like a year or so.
It was a couple years ago. It was right at the beginning of doing YouTube. They called me.
One lady had gotten into a motorcycle accident.
And one lady was on maternity leave. And they called me and they're like, could you fill in for 6 weeks, 2 days a week? We just don't have time to train anybody. And so I went back, just to work with my dad for 6 weeks. It was really fun. But anyway, I've taken in a lot of those calls. And a lot of times people will accidentally tell somebody, but I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people who are like, this person has chickens and I know it's against the rule. Like, people are just mean.
That's when Jessica's like, I will totally send that up the chain of command. Trash can. Like, nope. People can chicken farm wherever they want. See, she was an undercover, against the government. So if anyone who works for the city of Sherwood is here, fooled you.
That's not true. It's so nervous.
Like, Mayor Hilton's going to come knock on your door. We need to have a talk.
It's not true. See, I get so nervous. I'm such a rule follower. Hey, Ben.
Look up how you make a sword.
Look up how we make a sword. We'll do that after we're not on live.
We're going to make swords. We're just not going to make them right now. Okay?
Can you come say hi to everybody? Daddy and Ben Turn made
shields first.
Shields. Because when the boys went down with me to Uncle Bernie's house, he made them some weapons out of scrap wood, like clubs and hammers. Hey, can't shake this table, darling. And and so Daddy, he came home and Daddy made him shields, and now he wants to make swords out of wood. So that's great. I'm sure that'll end well for all my sons.
Oh, they got shields now.
Armed to the teeth with.
Yeah, but the shields is going to help prevent
weaponry.
Injuries.
Yeah.
Well, they're just like little night shields, for almost like jousting shields. They're not like full body shield. I want to I think I'm going to make some full body feet to chin shields, and I'm going to teach my kids how to make a shield wall so that we can go out and bang our swords of shield together, and I can be like, shield wall! And we're all getting our shield wall going.
Yeah, that sounds like a great way to use your time. Jonathan, what is this Swedish cherry tomato? Stop it, Jeremiah. Sun sugar or sun gold is what I would assume. A lot of you noticed Benjamin Shield, because at the beginning of the garden tour that I put up yesterday, he was in the background with his shield and he was watering the garden holding a shield. I got several comments on that. Oh, yeah. Chris, I'm excited for you to come visit. Definitely, once I can cook for you would be great. Daniel got the short end of the visiting stick by coming the weekend that our kitchen was gutted.
Yeah.
I made salads. He ate salads, so. When do you start feeding layer chickens calcium?
You just put it out. It's free range. Free choice. They can get it when they need it. That's all you got to do.
Oh, how funny, Sue Pete.
Don't force it. Don't mix it in their feed on purpose.
Yeah, just set it out for
them. Set it out for them to get to it when they want it.
New to your channel for about a month, and you guys are great. I finally realized last week that Miah and Jeremiah are the same person. I literally laughed at myself out loud when I realized it. You would be surprised at how many people.
But are they?
But
are they?
Don't
think about it. Just let it sit in. Is Jeremiah and Sweet Miah the same person?
Yes. You're being weird. But yeah, people are like, how did you come up with that nickname? Why are you calling me Miah? That's a woman's name. I'm like Jeremiah.
Who says my name's a woman's name?
People
Where's that shield, Ben? Shield wall!
Greenwich Homestead. Raspberry could be verticillium, a fungus from tomatoes.
Your tomatoes killed by raspberry! All the tomatoes on the front garden are getting ripped out tomorrow.
Okay. If the leaves start to turn yellow and fall off, then
That's what's happening.
Or it's failure to thrive. Raspberries need.
I'll take a picture and post it on Friends Roots Refuge.
There's still more information. Raspberries need afternoon shade and lots of airflow. They do not like to have wet feet. I bet they have wet feet.
I think I just need to build up that bed and with more super soil.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Like build the rocks up and make it deeper because it's not really deep enough.
I do sometimes say to Jeremiah, like, okay, so Jeremiah's personality is very authoritative. Like he is very task oriented, and he's the person that you want when you need to get something done because he's going to like drive that. But when he gets in task mode, he's like, literally, it's like kiss the wife, say hello, say something nice. It gets on the checklist, and it's like check, 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 and then he's on to the next thing. And
Which is why we have such a great marriage.
And I'm like, hey, can I please speak to Sweet Miah right now? Like sometimes I'm like, hey, I need attention. I need you to, can you turn the switch on? Can we turn off Jeremiah, the boss dude? Okay, I'm sorry, living a rogue life. There were some that when the comments froze, I didn't see. I thought I got to all of them. What do you use to support squash on a trellis? Nothing. I just weave them throughout, and they usually put off those little tendrils and hang on themselves. Yep. As far as the actual heavy fruit, like the squash itself, not the plant, I get these plastic produce bags on Amazon, and yeah. That's it. Just like these plastic produce bags and tie them up. You can use pantyhose, parts of a loofah sponge thing. You can cut those into bits and use those. You can use cut up parts of t-shirts. You just need some sort of hammock.
Hammock.
I would love to have Elin come be the tomato princess at the farm. I would totally give her that.
It is not too late to plant sunflowers, is it?
No, you can totally plant sunflowers.
Do it right now. How do you get rid of
pickle worms? Anything that's like that, like a caterpillar type thing, would be BT. BT. If you look up BT pesticides, you'll be able to find it.
Jess, my butternut squash are only producing male flowers.
I actually don't know the answer to that. Had that
Butternutsquash.com. Get them some ladies.
You are on.
I'm on one today. I'm firing on pistons. Too much coffee.
I've had that happen at the beginning of the season, but usually they start producing females. Maybe somebody can give us some insight on that. Julie Witt, do you get bitten by white flies, and what do you do besides neem oil? It's not working. I don't get bitten by much. I don't know what it is. I think it's because I'm always covered in essential oils like every day of my life, and I eat a ton of garlic. I literally just don't get bitten by stuff. People ask me that a lot. What do you do besides neem oil? It's not working. Check out Diatomaceous Earth. I'm trying a new product right now called Dr. Zymes. I just used it for the first time, so I'll get back on that. I'm wanting to do a video soon about organic pest controls, but I'm trying some things first so that I can make it a really comprehensive video. Best greenhouse flooring. We have gravel in ours, Amber.
We love it.
Yeah.
Mac Ingram, how are the baby chicks? And haven't seen an update in a while. We don't have any baby chicks left.
They're grown.
They're all they're just so grown.
The
turkeys.
You know what?
We don't have any baby chicks. We don't.
No, okay, no, but I shot a bunch of vlog footage. That was that day that I was in El Dorado. It was going to be I lost like 20 minutes of footage because I had a card malfunction.
Where were we showing them?
The chicks.
There are no chicks.
I mean, they're big now. They're fully feathered. I was showing.
They're all massive.
But I'm calling them the chicks so that there's distinction.
Oh, I was just going to call them the...
Is that a person driving by like
that's
idiot?
A motorcycle that flies like 80 miles an hour up and down this road.
That is so irresponsible.
Without a helmet on.
Well, this one guy was riding down the road the other day.
Driving with his feet.
Four-wheeler. Driving with his feet.
I'm like, well,
where
you're going to get it.
You're
just listen. What happens, happens. That's what happens.
Yeah, I've done peppermint oil. What I've found is that peppermint oil alone doesn't fully take care of stuff, but I do feel like it helps, and especially if you mix it with other things. Thanks, North Star Prep Stutter, for sharing the Rising Time shirt information. Okay, Claire, that is called Pure Crop 1. I don't think I bought it on Amazon, but I think you can. I think I Googled it and just ordered it from a website. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. But it's Pure Crop 1. I so far like it. I've sprayed it on everything, so it's kind of hard to say, but I need to spray it again. And I think I'm going to up the dosage a little bit because I'm starting to get aphids real bad and I want to kind of knock those down. And basically you use like a stronger dilution if you're trying to knock down an infestation, and a lighter dilution if you are trying to just use it preventatively. But I was being kind of stingy with it because it's expensive. And I think I'm going to just go for it and just see if it really can knock those aphids down.
Okay. I'm moving next week. How can I take my large tomato plants with me? I don't know that you can.
Okay. So here's my take on that. If you dig them up and they don't transplant well, then at least you have, you tried. If you leave them behind, you're not going to have them anyway. So just dig them up and get as much of the roots as possible. But what you can do is propagate some of the suckers so that you're at least taking some tomato plants.
So you do the suckers first.
I did release the ladybugs this morning, Patty. So that'll be in the vlog tomorrow.
Where did we got our strawberries as a bare root strawberry 25 pack from Starburst.
Yeah.
And you can use roots to get a discount.
Can I fix compacted soil after I've planted? You can definitely mulch it, which will help. You can put compost down and mulch on top of that, which will help even more. So that's at least like something. It does take a little while to work on compact soil. I know you can put gypsum on compact soil to help break up, but I'm not 100% sure how that works when it's already planted. So that's just my honest knowledge.
What type of floor do you have in your chicken coop, wire or plywood? The current chicken coop we have has a dirt floor because it's a big building. And we just put straw down, and over the winter we'll put straw down and put straw down, put straw down, and we clean it out in the spring, and then we'll do it again. It's called deep litter, deep bedding. Whatever. Deep litter method of bedding. Anyways, so we don't have a floor. Now we're going to be building one, and it's going to have a 1 inch by 1 inch square wire mesh floor.
Yeah. Elena said, why don't you guys plant some fruit trees or berry bushes like currants and raised beds? Dwarfs should work in beds. They won't mind the poor soil. That's actually a really good idea. We actually planted quite a few berry bushes this year, as well as kiwi berries, gooseberries, like quite a few things that were getting established. And we're talking about doing some dwarf apple trees right in front of the garden. So that's kind of our loose plan on that.
Do green stalks need to have new soil every year?
No, you can absolutely.
I think we did 2 years.
I think I did 2 years, and then I replaced one of them, but I probably.
But even when we dump it out, we just dump it out in a bed and use it to fill up.
Right.
And then we don't ever waste it.
Sounds like Jeremiah and Sweet Miah equals Superman and Clark Kent. My question is that holy basil you have, is that the same thing as sacred basil? And there are actually like a few variations of holy basil. The one that I have is listed as Tulsi. It's actually not the holy basil that is sold from Baker Creek. The one that I have been using is the holy basil that's sold from M.I. Gardner. That's where my seeds originally came from. But yes, if you ever see it listed as sacred basil, it's probably the one that's really fragrant, which is the one that I have. But it's Tulsi, and I can never remember the cultivar's actual names, but I know it's usually called Tulsi. So.
Okra is confusing, and I'm not sure what to do with it. That's easy. Fry it.
I have a video that's very extensive about okra. If you look up Roots and Refuge okra, it shows 3 different ways to cook it and tells you all about it and why it's so great. So,
we've never had a green stalk blow over and we get high winds.
I actually have a lot of okra back there to harvest in the morning.
Yes.
So you should just finish the kitchen and I'll fry it for you.
All right, guys, this live is over. It was nice hanging out with you.
It's not. Yeah, the white powdery mildew on the squash. This is the worst year I've ever had for that. Totally really bad. We've had so much rain. I'm trying that new Dr. Zymes today. I just sprayed it tonight on the right before the live. That's why I was pouring sweat when I came in here. No, Jessica, it is not too late to sow zinnias from seeds. Sow those suckers. Like my zinnias every year grow and then deadhead, drop seeds, and then grow again and flower again by our frost. So even if you are like, even in northern places, it's not too late to sow zinnias. They flower very quickly. Okay, thank you, Greenwich Homestead. The Tulsi cultivar is Sanctum Tiniflorum Sanctum O. So it is the sacred basil. I think that's the one that I have. So, what do you use holy basil in? Do you use it as a stir fry? I actually use Tulsi dried for tea. Tulsi is very, very beneficial to drink for tea. And it's an adaptogen, and it has a lot of like properties as far as herbal medicine goes. It's very like calming and stuff like that. It helps with nerves and all of that. So it primarily gets dried for tea. My friend Lauren does a lot of herbalism, and she will take like as much holy basil as I can give her to dry. So
the purpose of ladybugs, they eat aphids.
But yeah, they eat the aphids. Which that'll be in the vlog tomorrow morning.
I have random mushrooms coming up in my bed. Should I be concerned? That's
Nope.
usually good indication of good soil.
Yep, that's a good thing. Then you got an organic garden. I just leave them. They end up dying back. But if they're in the way, you can pull them up. But it's not a problem.
We had some oak posts that we used in our first set of beds that we've now replaced because they rotted out. The reason they rotted out is because they grew mushrooms for 3 years. Like super well. We didn't even have to plant starts.
Janine, hello. Welcome to your first live stream. I used to live in Knoxville. McKay's Books was my jam. And every time that I drive through Knoxville, I have to go by there now. Is it normal for my young burgundy okra plant to start showing dark red spots and dark red fringe on the new leaves? Is it still healthy? Laura, I'm not sure exactly what that is. If it's like a rust or a blight or whatever it is. All of mine have always done that, and they always grow out of it into being really healthy plants that produce a lot. So you could potentially maybe use some sort of like copper fungicide or something and knock that out, but I've never worried about it because it's just always happened, and I still am covered up in okra. Mine all had that, and now they're starting to get really healthy leaves coming in.
Rye Fry, a friend of ours actually does use pine shavings, Whispering Willow Farms. That's what she uses for mulch. It works fine.
Yeah. Special advice for fertilizing tomatoes in pots. Jennifer Perez. Brad Gates is the owner of Wild Boar Farms, and he's like my tomato hero. And I have had the joy of sitting and talking with him and picking his brain extensively the last couple of years at Baker Creek's Heirloom Seed Expo. And what he says that the best way to fertilize your tomatoes, and whenever you're growing in containers specifically, you're looking at, you've got about 8 weeks after planting those tomatoes in that soil that they're going to use up the nutrients that are in that soil, and you need to start feeding them. And what he says is good is to use a very diluted liquid fertilizer. He uses all organic stuff on a weekly basis rather than hitting them hard with like a hard dose of fertilizer. So just start giving them a little bit at a time. And he said, and just do that very steadily throughout the season, and you get a lot better results whenever you do that. So you can find, just an organic fertilizer that's made for tomatoes or whatever, made for fruiting plants, and just follow the instructions. Don't overdo it, and just slow and steady wins the race on that one.
Ultimate coupon lady. Don't like spiders. Can I still have garden success?
Yes. You can.
I don't like spiders.
You're probably gonna see spiders. I mean, that's probably gonna happen.
Just leave them alone.
I don't like spiders. If I see them in my house, specifically anywhere in my house, really, they're going to get out of my house. I am kind of like a bleeding heart. I will capture spiders in my house and let them outside because they're not bad bugs. If they're in my bed, they're gone. They're dead. Like if they're anywhere in my room, it's just like.
If they're basically in the house, largely, they just usually get killed.
I usually will cut them papers, carry them outside.
Oh, I just don't. Here's my thinking. Well, there's probably plenty of spiders outside. That's why this one came inside, and that was a mistake because I will leave them in the garden. I will leave them outside. It's almost like a chicken jumping into the backyard with your dogs. You should have made a better choice.
Hey, Morgan Gold, how are you? But definitely have, I mean, spiders live in the garden. They're actually really not a bad thing to have in your garden, like those big orb weavers. I end up with so many of those in the garden. It is very disconcerting when you almost touch them. But honestly,
with your face,
it gets to the point when the garden gets wild and there's a lot of insects like that. I just become very aware of where I'm moving and where I'm reaching and where I'm touching. And I think it's a good thing to like have that awareness, but they catch a lot of the bugs that you don't want in your garden.
go ahead.
The shirts that we're selling, which North Star Prepsteader was sharing the link to those. We're working with a local small business who's doing our shirts. They're very, very soft.
Very comfy.
The brand that they use to print their shirts on is called Bella and Canvas, which is their sustainably sourced shirt. So that's something that's important to us to not buy. We don't want all of our merch coming out of sweatshops, so we don't want to do that. So they're very comfy, and we're using that brand for any merch we do. So right now we have a t-shirt and a tank top available, and we will look at like sweatshirts and stuff when it gets, later on in the season. But yeah, very comfy and super soft. So right now it's a pre-order. It's open until June 29th, and all those will print and ship. And then we'll reopen. We're going to have a few shirts that are available all the time, and then we're going to do limited edition prints with these.
Okay, how do you keep ladybugs in the garden? You don't. They're just going to go where their food is.
Yeah, so I actually address this in the vlog tomorrow. If you have like 2 4-foot garden beds, I would not spend a bunch of money on ladybugs. The price of them has gone up extensively
because everybody's gardening.
Because so many people are gardening this year. And I actually shared this in the vlog tomorrow. Like, don't spend $80 on ladybugs. Like, I don't think that they're worth that. It's definitely fun. They stay in my garden because it's so big. There's a lot of aphids. But if
they clean yours out and then head out,
they would head out. That really would be true. So unless you've got enough space, I don't know that I would definitely go that route. When we have plus size shirts, we have plus size shirts.
They go all the way up to 4XL.
Yeah, these go to 4X. I think some styles can go to 5.
Well, we only have 2 styles.
Yeah, he had said
4.
that when I asked him that there were some that go up to 5. So I don't know.
And we're also got it approved for international shipping.
And if your country is not listed, you can email them, and they can ship anywhere. They just don't have them all listed. Robin Snyder, yay, you're being sprouted. Isn't that such a happy feeling when you go out and you've got little baby sprouts? Thank you so much, Patricia. So my friend Matthew sent me this video of somebody making this thing, and if I was anxious for tomatoes now, I'm even more anxious. Okay, so they took 2 slices of tomatoes, and then they took this cream cheese, and they mixed in all these seasonings, like all these herbs. I'm telling everyone and you, and you can appreciate how much I'm gonna enjoy this. Yes. And so
I can appreciate how much you're going to enjoy this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
let me just get ready for that one.
So the cream cheese has all the herbs in it,
herby cream cheese,
and garlic, and tasty things like that. And then they took the tomato slices and they put them in an egg wash, like an egg batter, and then in breadcrumbs with more herbs and garlic battered on the outsides of the slices. And then they put the cream cheese mixture in the inside so it looked like an ice cream sandwich. And then they fried it in a pan.
Hey, what's up, Noah? I'm on my live video. Say hi to YouTube. Sorry. What's going on?
That's your mind.
Jessica was talking about tomatoes, so I needed to check out for a second. What did you need?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, go ahead. Just make it quick. Yes, I do. It's in the basement, in the garage.
He made a separate YouTube channel, Pew Pew Pew, to talk about the nerdy stuff with his nerdy
so maybe
friends.
you need to make a separate YouTube channel just to talk about all the tomatoes you're going to eat.
This is the YouTube channel that I made to talk about tomatoes.
They're all going to laugh at you.
This is it. We're on it.
Not all of us.
North Star Prep Center, you are a boss with those links.
You mentioned something, he's like, bam, got it.
She's like, I'm on this. North Star Prep Center, you work that rich. You get it. You inspire me every day. Hello from Tassie. Hello, Naomi. How much coffee did Miah have? Too much, apparently. It looks
One
like.
latte all day.
Well, the
I just had it at 4.
So you have no excuse. Oh, yeah.
It was a double with hazelnut syrup.
Okay. I planted all my berry strawberries in the green stalk. Most of them were fine. One day started to grow green leaves, but have been dying off. What did I do wrong? Billy Paul. What's the watering been like? Definitely want to make sure it's not too much or too little. So you want to keep it like away from the extremes. The green stalk's pretty good about draining. So I would think that it probably wouldn't be too much water. It could potentially be too little. Does anybody want to troubleshoot that? Van Buren, Arkansas, my tomatoes being taken over by aphids. Tried 7 and still have them. What should I do? Aphids are really tough. We got the ladybugs to kind of help with our big aphid infestation. I'm trying a few different things. You can do diatomaceous earth on them. The most fail-proof way is going on and just squashing them. I mean, literally just running your hands off, rubbing them behind the leaves, and just mashing aphids. I have 250 plants. It's not really feasible for me. I mash them when I see them, but that's a lot. So,
Sounds gross.
Yeah, the things we do. Because I really want that tomato.
The things you do.
I really want that tomato ice cream sandwich thing. It's not really ice cream, but.
Yeah, guys, the international shipping is what it is. They're not charging you just a bunch more. They're basically just charging what it costs. So they've got to pay for whatever the custom stuff is. And then there's nothing we can do about it.
My hair has been permed in the past, but it's been quite a while now. This is pretty much what it's naturally like right here. This is took a shower and didn't brush my hair. So this is what it just is what it is. Why would there be holes in my sweet basil, Kelly? Because something else is enjoying your sweet basil. It's just some critter of some sort is doing that. A lot of times you'll find holes and you won't see who is doing it or what is doing it. But yeah, I don't know.
Do you have a knife brand you recommend for cutting tomatoes?
We have some knives from Haas, but I haven't used those a lot. I have like
harvesting tomatoes.
I have an Opinel like little pocket knife that I keep in my pocket, and I cut things off with that, or I just use some scissors or some shears. Chris said, "You keep looking around. That kitchen is going to sneak up on you." Yeah, Jareen, okra sometimes gets a little bit of a slow start, but when it starts growing, it grows crazy. Mine's only like this tall right now. It's probably like 12 to 14 inches tall, but they'll be taller than you before too long. They grow really fast once it starts getting hot. Oh.
How often do you water your green stock?
I actually have not watered any of my green stalks this year. It's rained so much. It's probably getting close. I'll water it about every 3rd day. And that should be enough. Yeah, Opinel is really good. They're really good knives. Someone said they're made in France since the 1800s. They're really affordable. You can get like an 8-inch Opinel on Amazon. I think they're like $16. And as long as you keep them dry, they stay really good. They sharpen easily.
I've got an MT knife that's really good.
Yeah.
It's a neck knife. It's got a little sheath and you pull it down and it's really sharp.
I've seen that garden set before, Chris. I just haven't swung for it because I have a few 8-inch Opinels that I just always have one in my pocket whenever I'm working in the garden. Someone said Victorinox has a good tomato knife. What is my most successful crop thus far this year? I got a lot of cabbages. But I didn't plant just a ton, so I don't know if I would call it. I got a lot of rutabagas; those did really well. Ton of kale that lasted a lot longer than usual.
So far,
starting to harvest beans pretty well. It looks like most everything's going to do well. We got a lot of potatoes out there.
Zucchini are crushing.
Doing a lot. Yeah, I haven't had anything.
All my hives are alive.
Yeah,
things
are going pretty well. I will tell you that my spaghetti squash is just really struggling, so I might lose that.
Before they're harvestable?
I can't. Some of them are getting pretty close, so I'm hoping it holds out. I sprayed it with that stuff tonight. Hopefully it holds out. But I think it's looking like a pretty good year. I had a lot of stuff not come up. My trellises look really empty, but for the most part, it's all good.
We're going to replant.
Daniel is single, Christy. He absolutely is. So there's the question that all the single ladies keep asking.
We actually were talking about that this weekend.
Jeremiah is gonna start trying to.
Hey, bless him, man. He knows what he wants.
Yep.
He is so nice.
Daniel is really. He's very, very precious. He's one of our very best friends. He has a channel on YouTube.
Single Dad Homestead. He is also still single.
Yeah.
Or he'd be talking to just Dad Homestead. Or Dad and Mom Homestead. Or not single Homestead.
What? Yes, Ben Turn is also single. Ben Turn is...
Ben Turn is not, he's not.
He's just not
looking.
there. Like,
Nope.
he's not looking. He's made that really clear that he's just...
Like, if you guys are interested in Ben Turn, he's basically just going to be like, listen, it's not you. It's me.
Oh.
So I just don't want you to get your hopes up. Not right now. He said he wants to have a family one day, but he's just not. He's not.
Ben Turn's young.
That's what I'm saying. He is young.
He's like 24. He's just not. He just knows that's not what he wants in his life right now. So, Daniel's not
Daniel's
24.
ready.
Daniel's 34. But
he's ready to find him the wife of his dreams.
Yes, yeah, and Chris, great guy. If anybody, he said he's definitely in love with the Lord. And Chris is we do know a lot of really great single guys. You know, I'm not a mingler. Like, I'm not one that are that like I don't set people up.
Can Daniel come to Michigan? He can come to Michigan.
Jeremiah, on the other hand, he will set you up real fast.
Why are you asking him to come to Michigan? I'm not understanding the question. Like, is this an invitation to my homie?
North Star Prep Stutter said there are some of us great single gals too. Amen. You know what? I keep telling people this. If somebody meets through our media outlets, like on our Friends of Roots and Refuge group or on our stuff, then I want an invitation to the wedding. If somebody ends up getting married,
if you don't invite us to the wedding,
like, I will fly there.
Just
I will come to your wedding.
unsubscribe. Like, if y'all meet up and we had anything to do with it, like, you better let us know.
I'm just hoping that the sin of fresh baked bread will bring the right man. That's a good start, Kelly. I think that's a good avenue. A tomato wedding. That's so awesome. No, I'm really not one much for matchmaking. I mean, in all seriousness, and like, this is what we were talking about with Daniel.
If we were going to set up a dating service, that would be something like tomato sandwich dating services. You bring the mayo, I'll bring the bacon. We'll meet on a tomato.
I don't know. I just would never want that kind of pressure.
Setting people up?
Yeah, I let God set
Oh,
people
see, that's
through.
because you fret over what happens afterwards. And I'm just like, here you go. Figure it out.
Chris said I was coming to the Shindig 2020 in a kilt, just saying.
What does that say about him? Confident. Confident. Okay.
He's a Marine, of course he's confident. Yeah, 44, my mom was still giving me dating advice. Yeah, Casey Urban Farm. You know, like, it's so crazy to me whenever I do talk to my single friends, and like, we did talk with Daniel a lot about this weekend. I'm not gonna like bust him out on all this stuff, but he's really actually come to a place that he's like, God's gonna give me a wife whenever it's time. Daniel.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he's like really mellow about it, but I'm so glad. I love you. I love you. I'm so glad that I don't have to stress about that. It's really nice.
Yeah, when Daniel's going over his like, no, I'm really looking for this and just gotta have this and this is what I want. I'm like, it's all good. I'm just really glad that I don't have to worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Where did you get the high tunnel? Grower Solutions, best greenhouse company around. Roots gets you 10% off everything except ground cover.
Ground cover, shade cloth.
Shade cloth.
Cloth. It's shade cloth.
It's something.
Roots gets you 10% off of everything but something. Shade cloth or ground cover.
It's one of those two.
I think you can use it on ground cover. It's shade cloth.
Shade
you don't
cloth,
get
maybe
10%
that's right.
off on.
Because
Jessica
it's already cheap, as cheap as they can get.
I don't sell seeds. I do not have the infrastructure capacity to do that. I may try to save some this year to have extra to be able to send out. I thought about maybe coordinating. This is just an idea. I'm not like ready to follow up or do this, but I thought about coordinating with some people in the Friends of Reach and Refuge group where I could send maybe some bulk seeds that I saved to them and them dole them out to everybody. But there's no way I could keep up with trying to sell seeds to a bunch of people. I'm scattered enough as it is. Yeah, I actually think that I would fare okay with like, and I'm saying this from a place of like personality wise, not because I would ever want, be there. I'm so thankful in our relationship.
What are you about to say?
But like people are talking about being okay with being single. Like I'm the kind of person who like is okay with alone time. And it's something that we work out well in our marriage because there are things that Jeremiah's into that I'm not into. And I like alone time. And so he watches movies and goes to the movies and does stuff like that.
I don't go to the movies anymore because they're closed.
They're closed, but you did. When it was
back in the day.
Back in the day when they were
back in the day when you used to go do fun stuff without a mask on.
North Star Prep Stutter. I think that's how it is for a lot of people. Like Daniel, Jeremiah's sister, she's been single for a while, and she just basically is like, I'm waiting for the right person. I think that if you've been in a relationship that was really not good, you learn to appreciate waiting and not rushing into another one. So, and I think that's where a lot of the people are that we're close to. They just are like, I would rather not be with the wrong person. I'd rather be alone than be with the wrong person.
Yeah, so. I don't know. We've talked about it. I'm like, I'll be fine being alone. She's like, honey, let's be real. I'm like, well, I hope I never have to come to that.
Yeah.
How did we meet? I made eye contact with her and it was over. That's it. That's all there is to it.
Jeremiah's brother, Josh, was one of my really close friends. So I was actually close with his whole family before I ever met him for years. And he lived in a different state and then he moved here and we became really, really good friends and then fell madly in love. Pretty much. I mean, that was pretty much how it went. Yeah, I think
that's actually, I think, the place you need to be. You need to be happy single and then you can be happy being married.
Yeah.
But if you're miserable single, you'll probably jump the gun.
Like another person cannot
it will
make
never.
You happy.
You'll put too much pressure on them and eventually you'll implode it.
Like Jeremiah does a lot of things that make me happy, but at the root of who I am, he is not what fulfills me.
Right, because I also do a lot of things that do not make you happy.
Yeah, I mean, that's just relationship. Living with a person is stinking hard. That's hard.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah. But it's also the most
I've done a lot of hard things.
It is. It's really hard.
Literally. Never mind.
Did you think that over?
No, it was something you shared with me, but I don't want to hurt your feelings by sharing it here.
Yeah.
So.
I have no idea, so I'm not going to give you permission to say that.
I was miserable married, feel blessed to be single, love my alone time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been in like unhealthy relationship before, and it's just, I'm very thankful for how we've worked things out, but it is absolutely hard. It is very, very difficult sometimes, but the moment, do you want to know that this is the moment that I realized like, oh, okay. Like this is why this is worth it. Cause we have both said this. I'm not saying something that's going to be hurtful. Like there have been times in our marriage, in our relationship, which has been primarily good. Like Jeremiah and I have always had the benefit of really like being in love with each other. Sometimes not really liking each other, but we've not ever had to walk through a season where there wasn't any like love in our relationship. But there has been times that I've been like having a conversation with God that I'm like, are you sure this is a good idea? Like this whole marriage thing where you have to live with the person and do life with them and choose them over yourself and all this. I think this sucks. Like this is a bad idea, but it was, this moment is like burned in my memory. After I had a cesarean section with Ben, I had all my babies like completely natural. And then Benjamin comes along, breech with a giant head, and they have to give me surgery to get him out. And after that, I was recovering, and I had no abdominal control. I needed help to get in the shower. I could not care for myself just within a couple hours. And I remember being in just excruciating pain after first coming off my pain medication, and Jeremiah helping me get into the shower. And helping like take care of me physically because I genuinely couldn't do it. And I remember being like, oh, okay. So like if this goes right, then you have somebody and stuff like this. Yeah, marriage can be really tough. VW Family Farm, we love you guys. Yeah, I mean, it can be really tough, but it is very worthy. And that's the thing with those of you, and we're both divorced. Like we were both married before. So I'm not coming from a place, for those of you, I'm not trying to bring condemnation on anybody that's gone through that before. But that's why I always tell people like it's just don't rush into that kind of relationship with somebody that is not the right person. It's just not worth it. The heartache that can come. So yeah, that's exactly right, Chris. In God's timing and in his choice. And then you get to experience that what God puts together, let no man separate thing. Because
live marriage counseling. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
yeah, my sister-in-law actually had twins, and she had the first one natural.
And then had to go for a
C-section. So she had to recover both.
That's the worst.
That is the worst. I was like, I'm so sorry that you have to go through that.
Aaron Straub said, tips for getting rid of a chipmunk. We usually don't have chipmunks here. Does anybody have any tips for getting rid of chipmunks? I do not have a discount code for Baker Creek.
No discount code. Ahmed, I am writing here. Are you seeing my written words?
Yes.
We are. I'm hesitant though because I'm trying to figure out if you're a troll or not.
Yeah, Benjamin, my last baby, he was my C-section. Isn't that crazy? I'm 34. Jeremiah's 35. Is that right? You're 35, right?
I'm 32, honey.
No, you're not. You're absolutely not 32.
Yes, I am. Look at these muscles.
I am 34. I'm turning 35 this year. He's 35.
I'm 35, turning 36.
Yeah. You had me questioning how old I was. I literally just had to count. I had to do the math. Hey, Angel.
I also want a sword.
Well, we're not making sense right now.
Didn't we already have this conversation?
Yeah, we are young. I got so much life to look forward to. I don't have any advice for caring for great grapevines. I've never kept grapevines. Does anybody have a channel or a link that has grapevine care? Geared for life. Life does fly, doesn't it?
Hey, Benjamin, Single Dad Homestead said, hey, Chris, come here.
Chris said he's making you a sword.
Chris from Single Dad Homestead said he's going to make you a sword. Now, Chris, he will never forget. So if you don't follow through, he will never talk to you again.
Slug invasion.
I'll explain later. You'll know who it is. You'll remember.
Beer traps for the slugs. The blight. Keep your lower branches pruned. Prune out extra branches if you can. Make sure you've got airflow. Hydrogen peroxide, very diluted, is supposed to help.
Yes, we mulch our peppers.
Yeah, we did. We mulched them. They're doing really well.
He will hunt you down and get you, Chris. I'm dead serious.
Benjamin forgets nothing.
No, nothing.
Nothing. Like the fact that Ben is how he is in the garden and that I can actually teach him things and he can retain them is wonderful. He forgets nothing. Like people told him things like when he was like 2 or 3 years old and he still brings them up. It's ridiculous.
What model's the new camera? 6.
It's a 60 Mark II.
Mark II. There you go.
It's nice. It's very exciting.
It's crazy. Okay, so we had other cameras and then we weren't using them. So literally, we blessed another YouTube channel with an M50 that we just really weren't using. and then our camera that we were using
The
broke
same
day. And we're like,
We're
okay.
okay.
All right, cool. So then we got this camera, and then we took Jessica's old portraiture camera and blessed her cousin with it, who cried because she's trying to do photography. It's just like we're just throwing out blessings and God's taking care of us.
That's how it is. I love whenever I get something.
And so the 80D, which is what we were shooting vlogs on, the mic port is messed up.
But the camera still works. So I'm teaching Malia
so we're using it
photography.
to teach Malia to shoot her photography and to
It still works as a
develop
camera.
photography. So it's really cool. We're doing like some cool stuff.
Yeah, I love photography. So I
Now the shots. Have you guys seen the recent videos? The shots that we're getting on the 6D Mark II are phenomenal.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm learning. It's heavy, so I'm learning to deal with it.
I think we're gonna have to engage the monopod again.
Yeah,
because it's pretty heavy, but it's so good.
Elaine, we'll do some approving. I'll double check that. So
the biggest, if you're joining the Facebook group, you have to answer the questions. If you don't answer the questions, we don't let you in. This is the entries. This is like the Bridge of Death in Monty Python. Only there's 2 questions instead of 3. You see what I'm saying? So it's like,
do you promise to not be ugly to people? And
you say,
where did
yes.
you find?
And then you say, where did you find us? And if you say, I don't know, you go off into the ravine.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. Answer the questions. Answer me these questions too. Where did you find us? YouTube. Very good. Will you be nice? If you say no, but if you say yes, okay.
Your
well,
nerd is showing. His nerd is always showing. It's the only thing he has.
You know the best way to get rid of chipmunks in the garden? A holy hand grenade. Take thy holy hand grenade, and you must count to 3. Do not proceed to 4, nor stop at 2, but thus proceeding to 3. Chunk thy holy hand grenade at thy enemy, thus vanquishing them for the Lord.
Do you know a movie I watched for the first time this week? I don't really watch movies. I know this disappoints some of you who are like pop culture people. I really just don't. But I watched Nacho Libre because my kids have gotten on this kick because Jeremiah showed it to them.
Oh my god!
Oh
my gosh! It's so funny. I love that my sons love this movie.
All the quotes that my family is constantly quoting. I'm like,
I will literally look at Jessica and I'm dead serious. I'll be like, "You are Ramses, because Ramses is the best." And she didn't know what I was referencing until recently. Now she's like, "Oh, it's so good. These are the Lord's cheaps."
Get that coin out. It's just
It's such a flesh wound.
Jack Black is the best.
School of Rock was awesome. I love School of Rock.
Help, please. My tomato broke at the base of the stalk. What can I do to help it after splinting it?
What? Okay, go play it.
Is really just about it. You can try wrapping something around it to kind of like seal it. Another thing that I do when that happens is I'll pull a sucker off like higher up in the plant and just stick it in the ground next to that plant. So on the off chance that plant dies, I've got another one coming up. And if that plant recovers, you just pull the sucker back out. This is what I do. Thank you, Christy. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you guys get some enjoyment out of our silliness. I'm new here. Tracy, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. How many kiddos do you have? We have 6 kids. We have a blended family. Jeremiah brought...
We have just over the threshold of making people uncomfortable in Walmart. You know what I mean? We take all the kids in Walmart and it's like, oh my gosh, look at all those kids. And the sweet old ladies and old men are like, don't you know what causes that? We're like,
we apparently like it.
I mean, they asked the question though. We didn't go there. They went there. And so then you got to make it awkward for them so they stop asking people that question. That's just, who does that? Honestly, one time I'm just going to really freak them out. And they'll be like, don't you know what causes that? I'm like, yeah, it's sex. And just watch them like, be like, sorry, I just had to go there. They ask it all the time. We have just enough kids to really make people uncomfortable. But my kids, they actually walk in a straight line behind mom. So mom's leading the cart. We're like a snake. We're literally snaking through.
Oh my gosh, yes, he does. He's delirious. That's what's happened. It's too much. Daryl,
look at that. See, that was totally worth it.
Daryl Benson, thank you so much for that super chat.
We don't have TV. I just saw the comment. We don't have TV because we like making humans instead. Bless them, Lord, bless them. That quiver is full. I got shots for days. Pew, pew.
Oh my goodness. Yes, we have one daughter. She's 15. Well, she'll be 15 here in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Just
pretty
grow her up
soon,
any
pretty
more than
soon.
She's already growing up, which is fast. And then we have 5 sons who are 14, 13, 8, 7, and 5. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who need to know,
I should drink coffee in the afternoon more often.
I can tell you this. After we had Benjamin, my fallopian tubes are gone. We totally would love to raise more children. We're open to adopting at some point. And people are like, could you be pregnant? I'm like, it would be a miracle of the Lord, which I would be like, okay.
We're okay with that too.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he can do crazier things, but yeah. Last I checked, didn't have fallopian tubes, so I'm not going to be making any pregnancy announcements that I know of anytime soon. It would be a testimony.
I feel so sorry for you about the Nacho Libre movie. Teresa, you just need to watch it one more time. It's like sometimes you got to watch things twice to really get it. So I think maybe you just missed it. Just try it one more time. It'll be great. You'll love it.
Oh my goodness. So, but we love having a big family.
Back at somewhere on the chat, there's like a little money symbol. You can click that and it'll let you put in an amount if you want to do it.
We love having a big family. It's really, really, it's just a huge blessing. I would say people are like, I don't know. You get a lot of weird questions when you have a lot of kids. People just can't wrap their heads around. Does it feel weird? Like whenever you have a lot of kids? Yeah. I mean, he comes from a family of 9.
Yeah, so I've learned.
That's like 3 whole more people than what we have.
3 whole. Sometimes we deal in half people.
Do you have any pets?
What?
We have a few pets. What is your name? What is your quest? What is the airspeed velocity of an unlanded?
Well, I don't know. Is that European or African? Well, I don't know that.
Oh my goodness.
Where did you find those coconuts? Well, I just found them lying on the ground.
So Jeremiah's family
in Europe
connects with one another through movie quotes. So if you find one, it's like a landmine kind of thing. Like if you hit on something and you quote the right movie, it just keeps going.
I could literally we could just start at the beginning.
Hold on, I'm going to answer this gardening question.
Okay, let's get focused.
Just
Gardening question.
Rein it in. What do I do if I don't have pollinators around my farm? Husband is allergic to bees. Okay, so definitely, look, he's trying so hard. Definitely plant lots of things that attract pollinators, things like zinnias and things like holy basil, all of these things that flower. Sunflowers are a really great option as long as they do have pollen. You don't want to put a hybrid one in. And there are essential oils actually like lemongrass that can attract bees. And you can also put in, what would it be, like carpentry bee, like mason bee homes, because they don't sting.
No, I mean, if you mess with them, they'll sting you. It's like a bumblebee. I mean, it has a stinger.
You can put in like mason.
They are not like honeybees though.
Yeah.
Like you can put in other houses that attract other pollinators. And honestly, a lot of stuff can be pollinated through other insects.
Mexican heather is great to attract bees. So that would be my advice on that. That's an important question. Pollinators are a big deal.
They're good.
And also make sure that if you are using any sort of pesticides, even if you're using
butterflies pollinate, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, like wasps pollinate, like they can, but bees are definitely like your go-to. But make sure if you're
murder hornets, do they pollinate?
I don't know. Make sure if you are putting any sort of like pest control on your plants, even organic, to put it on in the evening instead of in the morning, because that's when you've got bees out foraging, and that'll definitely be an issue. Matthew said, my bees love my catmint. Borage, that's a really great one. Borage is a great one for bees. The growing gardener, what is the homesteader's view on letting the land rest after 7 years? I've really been like seeking this out on how I'm going to do that, because I definitely think that obviously it's a good thing to do. But it's weird because like we don't do like fields. Like I have 2 garden beds that are Well, they're on their 5th year. So I've wondered, and I think I'll probably do you just rest your garden beds every 7 years? I've been like praying about this. Like, how do I do this? How do I rest the land every 7 years? I definitely think it's a very beneficial thing to do. That's biblical for those of you who don't know that. But can you use drying beans as green beans when they're young? Some kinds, yeah. There are a lot of kinds that are good for snap beans or drying beans. Some don't have a great texture when they're young, but you can just try it. But yeah, a lot of them you can pick young and eat as snap beans. Typically, with like the idea of a Shemitah year, like letting the land rest on the 7th year, is that you actually let the volunteers grow. So the seed that's in the soil, you let it grow. And you are able to harvest that, but you don't plant anything. You don't do any sort of like tilling or turning over the soil or anything like that. So the point is to just give it some recovery. And I mean, honestly, if I were to rest my garden beds, I would have a ton of food in them because so much stuff volunteers.
It's not okay, but also it's not because it's required scientifically. Some people are like, well, if you have raised beds, you can just keep amending. Why would you need to rest it?
Yeah, it's a biblical thing. It's a principle. It's like a spiritual principle of saying it's like tithing. It's like saying I'm going to trust the Lord with my land and I'm going to rest, because rest is it's a biblical principle. And if we are unable to rest, a lot of times it shows a trust issue. And so that's kind of where that comes in.
North Star, will you throw up the shirt link one more time?
At this point, our job is this farm and producing content, writing, doing stuff like that. So no, we don't work outside.
Eleni Perez, the only thing you'll have to be concerned about with the cinder block raised beds is the amount of lime that they will put off into your soil. So you just might have to counterbalance that with some additives.
Yeah. Hey, Allie Brown, how are you? I just saw you here. I don't know how long you've been here.
Who?
Allie. She's the one who sent that really pretty watercolor and and stuff.
Yeah. The letter.
Why is every gardener so religious? Loki, I don't know how to answer that question, but I bless you. And I just pray that the Lord lavishes his love on you with revelation that he was the first gardener.
He's saying no shade. He's just wondering. Honestly, if you want to
I'm being sincere. I'm not being smart aleck.
Saying,
I don't pray for people in a smart aleck way. I mean it.
And honestly, the thing is for us is that, like, I
think a lot of gardeners are very spiritual.
They are very spiritual,
even
whether
if they're
they
not
follow
in a place of
Christianity, God, or whatever. But for me, it's makes sense because I believe in creation and God created us in a garden, and so I believe that you encounter things in a garden that you can't encounter anywhere else. It's just my personal preference, my personal perspective.
But a lot of people are. I don't know many gardeners who are not on some level spiritual people.
That's true.
Like, even if they're not Christ followers, like I have met very few gardeners who were not very aware of.
Because when you're gardening and you're tending to like plants that need your care and like you're investing in that kind of thing,
a lot of people are saying they're not.
You usually don't do other stuff. Like it takes focus, it takes attention, it takes resources, and so if you're doing that, like that's where you're focusing. You're not doing other things.
I'm also a Christian, and I don't consider myself religious.
So. Oh, actually.
So, but some people use that term.
Are we going down that rabbit hole right now? Like people are like, wait, what do you mean?
But yeah, there's a lot.
Okay, here's what we do. Let's just sum it up. No, this will just end. So everyone who's wondering what that exactly means. Okay. When Jesus was on earth, Christianity, descended from Jesus, like that's why we follow Christ, Christianity. Okay. Who, while he was on earth, was he the only group of people that he was rude to? That literally, he was just like, you guys are whitewashed too.
He could not tolerate.
You're a snake. He could not tolerate them. It had nothing to prostitutes at a well, or on the beings were about to be stoned, like worst tax collector ever. Like all these people that Jesus tolerated. The one group of people, the one demographic is like, I cannot tolerate you. Were the religious people of the time, the people who literally missed it because they were so stuck on the religion side of things. So, anyways, yes, you are. Chris, you don't even believe that.
Oh Oh,
we're not going down that road either, Chris. But what I'm saying is that, don't be the Pharisees of today. Does that make sense? Because you'll miss it.
What I should say is that I believe in relationship, not rules. I feel like that stuff kind of follows in the relationship.
Oh man, if we could get that, if we could sow that like wildflowers,
Karen
people would
Christian.
understand.
Yeah,
there would be a level of understanding.
I also am a big believer that everybody is 100% valuable, no matter what they believe, and that we should value people because we believe that they're valuable. And especially for me as a believer, I believe that everybody's made in the image of God, and I value them because they're a person and therefore they have value.
You know what I believe?
They agree
honestly,
with me or
yeah,
not.
I agree with you on the value thing, but like what I believe is that for people who, don't, I don't even know what the right word would be, but like, like people were saying, like, I love gardening, but I'm not religious, or I love gardening, but I'm not a Christian. Like, I honestly believe that for people who don't know Christ and don't honestly have a relationship with him, like actual relationship, not just saying that, is because they haven't had an authentic encounter with it yet. See, like a lot of times, like for me, when growing up, like I had encounters with people who were Christians, but I was not encountering Christ. You see, there's a difference. Just because you encountered someone that was a Christian and that experience was horrible, you know what I'm saying? Like, or you get like, and you're like,
Someone
well,
that
I'm just gonna throw. Like, I'm telling you right now, like, they're the people, like some of the worst people that we could like literally write down on paper that were on the world at the time encountered Christ, and after one encounter, everything changed. Yeah. So I think if you actually encounter Christ and get that encounter, which honestly, like, that's a lot of people like, well, I don't, God's really, he's the best at hide and seek. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can run from him, you can hide from him, but he loves all of you. And he's just pursuing you. He's going to pursue you.
But yeah, that's one of the things, like, people be like, oh, I don't know about religion. And I'm like, me either, man.
Yeah, I know. I am not about the religion.
I'm a divorced tattooed woman preacher from the South. Please tell me about religion and how hard it is. Please.
We're with you.
Because I don't know.
And honestly, like, I hope that most of the people who are here watching all that, like, that's the vibe. You know what I'm saying? That's the message you're getting. You know what I'm saying? Because we honestly live by a standard that we choose to live by, but I don't feel like we really force that on people. Yeah. Honestly, for us, if we live it, you're more likely to get infected with it because, we want it to go viral. But honestly, like, we just want whatever, like, you know what I'm saying? We'd rather just live it out. And if it affects you, great.
Yeah. And my thing
Can we be friends? We're friends, Lisa. I'm going to get your name tattooed right here. Lisa. Sullivan.
One of the things that, like, it's crazy to me is that I have been so enriched in this outlet because, a lot of people live in an echo chamber. I mean, they live in a world where the only people they ever interact with think like them, and it never challenges them to be different. And it's incredible to me. Thank you so much for that super chat, Lola. It's been incredible to me to connect with so many different people from all over the world. Completely blew up any, echo chamber that I could have possibly had in doing YouTube. I have found some incredible friends, precious people. I have been so blessed by this. And I still have even more rich relationship with Jesus Christ in this, and at this point in my life. But I'm able to learn. There are a lot of people who are able, I'm not finding the right words. There are so many people who are able to choose relationships with people who don't agree with them. And that is encouraging to me because, and it's so surprising how many people will come into comments and they'll I disagree with that. I'm out of here. I'm like, okay, I bless you to go. But what I love is when someone says, I actually don't agree with you, but I see the value in you as a person. And I'm like, that's exactly how I feel about you. Because in my experience, that's exactly how Christ has loved us, is that he chose us. Like he actually 100% chose us. So many people do not know how to choose people. And if you choose to love a person because they agree with you, you don't love them, you love yourself. And being able to love a person because they're valuable, that is where you actually see real relationships, lasting relationships, and world change happen, is seeing the value in people. Thank you. Gosh, all these comments are so good. Y'all are going to make me start crying. If we stayed that way, perhaps Christian, the label would be better experience connected to it. That's really good. Thank you so much, NM Scripty. I appreciate that. I've had such Allison, I'm not.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is it?
Let's see. She said you had a super chat question. I don't know if I saw it.
I did not. Let's go back, see if I can find it. Nope. That's not a question. What was her name?
Allison. Trying to raise a God-fearing 14-year-old boy is a challenge. Any Christian advice? Well, I have a 14-year-old. The thing that you could go off on a really long thing with like parenting advice, and that's going to come down to it. But the way that we choose to do parenting is through, again, relationship over rules. We have standards for our home and standards that we want our children to live by because we want them to live safe. We'll explain to them, like, the reason why we protect you from that is because we feel like it's bad for your heart. But we really try not to take the approach of because I said so. I don't want to raise compliant children. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to raise compassionate children, passionate children. I want to raise thinking children. I want to raise children who choose relationship with people and that understand how to do that and how to take responsibility for themselves. A lot of times that means challenging myself not to go immediately to punishment. Because truly we have been raised in a very fear-based society with a lot of punishment. And I think that there's a difference between discipline and punishment. And a lot of times we go into autopilot and it's hard. It's absolutely hard. But I think that the first step is checking your own mindsets about who God is. Because if you have mindsets that God is going to like squash you like a mean kid on an anthill with a magnifying glass and he's just waiting to smite you and punish you for everything that you do wrong, you will convey that to your children. And that's not who God is. And so like, I think really searching out who you believe God as a father is. Do you see him as the father who embraces the prodigal as they come home? Do you see him as a loving Abba? Do you see him as those things? Because if you do, you can convey that to your kids.
The super chat that we missed was about gnats in her beds.
Okay, where is it?
Well, I can't see it, but someone was saying it was about how to get rid of gnats in her beds.
Does anybody have any advice on that? Gnats in the garden beds? I don't know that we've ever really dealt with gnats. Haven't. Inside like potting soil, and you do like cinnamon on them. I know you can do traps with like on a yellow cup. Like you take a cup with like a yellow paper, they make traps and they're sticky. That might be a good way to do it. If anybody has any advice, please throw it up for that. Rihanna Bixler, you guys do live your faith more than preach, and I enjoy it. And y'all are such genuine people. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, somebody said we went from fallopian tubes to Monty Python to preaching.
Yes, that's a good church service right there.
Roots and Refuge Farm. That's where we are.
Let's just close it up with some Monty Python.
Maybe put some Dawn and water on the ground and they will go in it and die. Diatomaceous earth for gnats. Yeah, so that's pretty much our life. Like, yeah, I mean, it's that kind of stuff. That's how you know it's a good conversation. That's right.
Gophers. We don't really deal with gophers.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any advice for gophers?
Someone said nematodes might help. There should be some instructions on the nematodes as far as like you spray them in. In a bowl, the dish soap and Dawn in some sort of. Thank you so much, Dawn. From a very practical sense, the thing, we talk a lot about like encountering God, and I think that we've complicated that. Yeah, it is the kitchen behind us. We've complicated that. We've made it way more complicated than it should be. But I think that really understanding that Jesus said he had to go so that the Holy Spirit could come as comforter and teacher and guide. I was just share this. I actually was talking about this with some friends of ours this week when Daniel was here. We did like a speaker call with some friends of ours that live down in Alabama, and like my walk with God started in the most like you would not even think this. It wasn't like at a church thing. It wasn't all that. But like when I was a little kid, I asked a ton of questions. It's funny because now I'm like, Benjamin is me made over. And I asked so many questions all the time. And my mom would respond. And the thing that she would say to me, she would say, when she didn't have an answer, like when I asked the kind of questions that I like couldn't, like that she just didn't have an answer for. There is no answer for. She would say, you're just going to have to ask God about that. And I was a kid and I had that childlike faith. And I was like, okay, so I would. And I would be like, Lord, why do dogs have tails? And how do airplanes stay up? And, like all these questions that I just asked my mom all the time. And what would happen is at some point, the answer would come to me. Like I would be in a classroom and a teacher would start teaching on how airplanes work or whatever, like I would be listening, we'd be riding in the car and the person on the radio would start talking about something and it would be the answer to the question that I asked. And so I actually have had this really unusual relationship with God, I believe through the Holy Spirit since I was a very young child, because I was just naive enough to ask God questions without feeling silly or without feeling like that wasn't a thing. And so that has been my experience. And now I have a very rich relationship with the Lord. And I do have a very rich prayer life. And I ask God questions all the time. And I get the answers a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time. And so my encouragement to you guys, and I say this to people, is to just start a conversation. There have been times in my life, my conversation with God sounds along the lines of, I don't even want to believe in you right now. Like I've said that to God. And this is where like you make the people really mad. I mean, there have been times that this is why people like want to pick fights over like, they want to split hairs over doctrine and theology and all that stuff. And I'm just like, listen, I've cussed God out like he was a dog before and he still loved me through that. And I'm not condoning like that's how we should be all the time. But the thing is what God is
Jessica's willing to tell you about it.
Yeah. Like God has
really happened.
Honored the fact that in my greatest pain that I was not willing to end the conversation. And so he actually can handle that. And so for those of you who like, you hear us talking about this and you're like, oh, I wish I could have that. Like God is no respecter of persons. And so truly, whenever you see somebody that's living with like that light in their life and you're going, how do you have all this? How is your life like this? Like start the conversation. Truly. I mean, you're not going to do it wrong. This is not like praying is not a legal contract that if you say the wrong words, it terminates the contract. It's just not how it works. Truly, like the actuality of your heart, as ugly as it may be, there's no shame. And when you go and you say, okay, I'm ready to talk, you just be amazed. And you have to be patient. Like, I mean, it doesn't always, like, I think we're just such a fast food culture generation. Like we just believe for things to just happen right away. We text message, I can text message Jeremiah right now. And that information is going to go to outer space and then back down to this table in the matter of like a half a second. Like that's how we believe things are supposed to be. But they're not really, that's really not how it works. And so having a conversation, I just challenge you to do that. Like, if that's something that you're sitting here and you're going, I wish there was something like this for me, I would just challenge you to start a conversation. It's really not my responsibility to convince you. I just believe that the Holy Spirit can do that. I just like to teach you how to grow a garden. I mean, really. So, wow, that is so cool, Julie. I love to hear that. We are exhausted, John. We are really tired. So thank you guys so much. Hey, the Tinker's wife.
We
Thank
probably
you.
should have wrapped it up. We're 34 minutes.
Yeah, we are
35
late.
minutes past. 35.
Stay salty. Thanks, Andrew. You too.
Stay salty.
Which Bible version do you use? Whichever one is closest to me.
That's true.
I've got a few. I'll read a few of
All
them.
right. Well, you want to end with a little bit of salt education?
What do you want to say?
Well, it says in scripture we're supposed to be the salt of the earth, right? And so everyone's like, well, we need to get out there and season some meat. Well, I learned at some point, I forget where I got the information from, but then I really got into it. How salt works is not flavoring. Like, salt does not flavor food. What salt does is suppress bad flavors.
And it preserves.
All right. So, think about that. Like, as God's asking you to be the salt of the earth, he's asking you to come out, to go out to the earth, into that situation, and to suppress the bad flavors, right? To suppress something and then to preserve it so that it lasts.
And
it's not about we got to get out there and make it taste good. No, really, our job is to go out and to suppress the evil and the bad and the hurting, you know what I'm saying? Honestly, what salt really does is it takes it in, right? So it takes it into itself,
right?
And then changes it. That's how salt works.
And salt doesn't do any good when it remains in the salt shaker hanging out with all the other salt. You got to get out there and be willing to touch.
Got to get in there and get with the meat.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. It was really great to get to chat with you. We bless you. Until next time.
Bye, guys.